The death penalty has been around as early as 18th century BC, when sentences were carried out by such means as crucifixion, drowning, beating to death, burning alive, and impalement. In the 10th century AD, hanging became the usual method of execution in Britain, and when European settlers made their way to the New World, they brought the practice of capital punishment along with them. In 1608, the execution of Captain George Kendall for being a Spanish spy marked the first recorded execution in the new colonies. In 1612, the divine, moral, and martial laws were established, which provided the death penalty for minor offenses that included stealing grapes, killing chickens, and trading with Indians. Before the 20th century, the death penalty was carried out in harsh, inhumane acts that were most of the time in the view of the public eye. The electric chair was built in 1888, and many states that believed in capital punishment adopted this method of execution. However, some states still sought out a more humane way of executing inmates. In 1924, Nevada started using cyanide gas in gas chambers. Between 1920 and 1940, criminologists argued that the death penalty was a necessary social measure, and therefore there was a spark in support for the use of the death penalty. There were more executions in the 1930s than in any other decade in American history, with an average of 167 executions per year. But in the 1950s, Americans began to change their mind about capital punishment. Many Allied nations chose to abolish or limit the use of the death penalty, and this caused the number of executions in the United States to decrease. The death penalty is still a part of the American criminal justice system today, but the use of it is being called into question as the high numbers of wrongful convictions cause concern amongst the public. There is considerable evidence to show that the number of wrongful death penalty convictions has worsened. Furthermore, racial injustice plagues the criminal justice system and has left Americans feeling suspicious of whether or not the criminal justice system treats everyone with equality. As more and more facts become more widely known about racial discrepancies in capital punishment cases, opposition to the death penalty is increasing. For all of these reasons, Americans are starting to consider other options to the death penalty. If the criminal justice system is going to take the responsibility of executing a human being, the system must operate flawlessly. This has not yet been achieved, and therefore Americans need to ask themselves the question, should capital punishment really exist in the American criminal justice system? Because one thing is fact, once a life is gone, you can't get it back.